Thank you very much, sir, for being here.
Thank you so much.
Very happy to see you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chairman Lewis, Chairman McDermott, Ranking Member Boustany, Ranking Member Linder, and honorable members of the committee. Thank you for this opportunity to testify before you today on behalf of my friends at Feeding America regarding the fight to end hunger in this nation and the roles that food banks, the private sector, and the federal government together can play in ensuring that no one in this country goes hungry. My name is Scott Wolf, and I'm a founding member of the Feeding America Entertainment Council. With me today is Joyce Rothermel, CEO of the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank. With a network of more than 200 food banks in all 50 states, Feeding America is the nation's leading domestic hunger relief charity. Each year, Feeding America provides food to more than 25 million low-income people facing hunger in this country through approximately 63,000 local agencies. Through my work with Feeding America, I've been able to see firsthand some of the faces of hunger in this nation. Recently, however, this work took on even greater meaning for me as my wife Kelly and I welcomed our first child, Jackson, into the world. Kelly and Jackson are here with me today, and I can tell you Kelly and I feel incredibly fortunate to be able to provide nourishing food each and every day for our son. The thought that millions of other parents across America are unable to do the same for their children is unbearable to me. According to data released earlier this week by the USDA, there are 49.1 million people in this nation who live in food-insecure households. This is a dramatic 36% increase over the previous year. Of those 49.1 million people, 16.7 million of them are children. That equates to nearly 1 out of every 4 children in this nation being at risk of hunger. For them, our nation's food banks are the first defenders against hunger and are the first to see it when hunger rates spike. They see it first when people who used to donate food are now waiting in line to receive it. They see it when schools are out of session and there are no school meals available to low-income children. And they see it first when the demand increases and outpaces available supplies, when they have to cut service hours or give people less food or turn them away because their shelves are bare. In September 2009, Feeding America released the results of a survey conducted to learn more about the challenges being faced by their member food banks. Comparing demand between summer 2008 and summer 2009, Feeding America found that 99% of all food banks surveyed had seen an increase in demand. Not surprisingly, near all of the surveyed food banks reported a rise in the number of first-time users, with 91% citing unemployment as the key contributing factor. Indeed, seeking emergency food assistance has become the new sobering reality for millions of Americans who never dreamed they would be in this position. This influx of new users, coupled with the growing need of existing clients, has made it increasingly difficult for food banks to adequately serve those in need. These shortfalls in emergency food resources are not occurring due to inaction by the government and the private sector. The recovery bill passed by Congress earlier this year generously provided $150 million in emergency food and the resources to help ensure that this food could reach those in need. And the USDA this past year provided in excess of $300 million of bonus food commodities for emergency feeding. Moreover, private corporate donations for emergency feeding continue to hold steady, but despite all of these efforts, demand continues to rise. And while our current federal programs and policies have gone a long way towards eliminating hunger in this nation, it is clear that there is more that must be done. With that in mind, I respectfully offer the following recommendations. First, federal nutrition programs, particularly those that serve low-income children, must be expanded, improved, and fully funded. Last fall, President Obama made a historic pledge to end childhood hunger by 2015. If we are to make this pledge a reality, it will require a nationwide commitment. Congress, in particular, can make a real difference by providing significant funding to make critical improvements to these programs through the upcoming reauthorization of the Child Nutrition Act. Second, government commodities for emergency feeding must be increased above current levels. While those provided through the recovery bill were key to supplementing existing emergency food supplies in FY09, the need has not waned. If food banks are to continue serving this increased demand, it will require a sustained funding commitment from Congress. And finally, the government must do its part to stimulate private charitable donations. Making modest changes to Internal Revenue Code Section 170E3 which provides an enhanced tax deduction for business taxpayers donating food to nonprofit organizations, would further encourage donations to food banks. Passage of H.R. 3227 would accomplish these necessary changes by permanently expanding the deduction to all business taxpayers. This would give restaurants, retailers, small businesses, and farmers economic certainty in tax planning and utilizing this deduction. Members of Congress, as you work to address the magnitude of challenging issues confronting you in the coming year, I would ask that you keep in mind the more than 49 million people in this country for whom hunger is an all too constant reality. For these growing numbers of Americans, food banks are truly the first line of defense, and many times the only resource standing between them being able to put food on the table or going to bed with an empty stomach. If the food banks are to continue meeting the needs of these American families, it will require a sustained commitment from all of us to make it happen. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for your commitment to helping ensure that every American has enough to eat, and not just during the upcoming holiday season, but on every day in every season throughout the year.
Thank you very much.